What's up, everyone? Aaron Negler here, Cheesehead TV, coming to you live from Midtown Manhattan in the LiveX studios, surrounded by the best and the brightest, namely Corey Banke, as he does his work. And I come to you to say, what's up? I hope you're enjoying your bye week. Packers sitting at 8-2. The NFL slate about to kick off tonight. Steelers taking on the Browns. Hello to everybody in the chat. Brett, good afternoon. Chad, what's up? Ismail, hi. What's up, Evan? How are you? Good to see everybody chatting away. Are the Packers sending someone to check out Kaepernick? Travis, as of right now, they are not. We'll see if that changes. But as of 4:59 in the PM on Thursday, they have no plans to attend. The sheep line was gold, Nags. Thanks, Bo. Do you think we would ever have a draft class like the 2017 running back class? I mean, it's kind of coming together, right? It's pretty crazy. Hi from the Netherlands. What's up? Thanks for joining us. We get to scout the 49ers this weekend, Nick, no doubt about it. It's going to be interesting to watch them take on Arizona. It was certainly interesting watching them take on the Seahawks on Monday night. I would love to have Kaepernick as a backup. Chris, I've talked about this for a long time. I would have loved him years ago. I think the ship has sailed at this point. This is very much a dog and pony show orchestrated by the NFL. I would love for him to get back in the league. I don't know how effective he could be after all this time away, but here's hoping he gets a shot. Only ones who can appreciate today's Packers are the ones who lived through the 80s Packers. Chad, I don't know if they're the only ones, but I certainly think having gone through the 70s and 80s gives you a bit of a different perspective and or appreciation for this team. There's no question about that. I mean, I know plenty of fans, younger fans, who have only ever known Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers as their quarterbacks, and y'all are lucky. That's all I can say. Nice Hiddle looked to be favoring his knee when they showed him on camera. I believe he's not playing. He's already been ruled out for this weekend. So we'll see if he's good to go 2 weeks from now. What's your thought on us drafting that Huskies quarterback? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'd rather have the LSU quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be available when the Packers select. Little Bosa has been highlighted, but we can't forget about Buckner. Oh, Buckner is a problem. No question about it. And they use him up and down the line. That whole defensive front, it's an issue. There's no doubt about it. Bosa gets the love from the media, the name, the association with his brother, top pick, etc. So, and it's warranted. I mean, he is a game wrecker. There's no doubt about it. And older brother Bosa certainly put the hurt on the Packers pretty damn good a couple weeks ago. So they'll have the work cut out for them, not with only with Bosa, but as you point out, with Buckner and with that Bruckner and that whole front. Nags, thoughts on a 19-week season with 2 bye weeks and 1 neutral site? Well, I know they're talking about 18 games with a neutral site game. I haven't seen anything about 2 bye weeks though, but we'll see. I just watched my Star Wars 4, 5, and 6, my first ever, and I love them. Katie, welcome. Thank you so much for chiming in. I'm glad you enjoyed them, and welcome to the Star Wars fandom. Man, you should really ask Aaron Rodgers to come on your podcast. I have asked Aaron Rodgers only like 1,000 times. I will say this summer was the first time he didn't decline outright. He just kind of let it play out and just waited until I left town and never gave me an answer. So someday, maybe. We'll see. Love Packer transplants and also love the tough questions with Coach LaFleur. Thank you, Travis. I wouldn't characterize them as tough. I just try to be, a little bit more, I don't know, open ended slash pressing with the questions, stuff that I know fans want to hear about and stuff we all question while the games are going on. Those are things that should be asked, in my mind. Camera quality looking great today, Nags. Is this the new norm? It is the new HD Pro camera that Corey got me here at LiveX. Soon this will be a whole content room specifically for creating Cheesehead TV content. It's coming along. And thank you for noticing. I got to start wearing makeup or something, doing my hair, all this high quality fangled stuff around here. Packers seem to love good blocking receivers, but seem to give up speed. Vikings, Chiefs, Saints all have more speed at the skill positions. Keith, that may be so, but the Saints, with all that speed, only scored 9 points against the Falcons. Not so much having the speed, it's what you do with it. And I think the Packers have done a really good job. Didn't Josh Jackson look fine last season as a rookie? He looked okay. He looked like he got taken advantage of in man coverage quite a bit, but that's what most people thought he would probably be possibly better suited to safety because having your eyes on the quarterback, etc., moving in space. But he can't get on the field. He can't even get active these last couple weeks. So we'll see what the Packers have in store for him. What can the Packers do to compensate for their lesser speed at skill positions? Um, Scheme it up. You've seen a lot of that from LaFleur already this year. I mean, look, you go to the running backs, you go to some of the more horizontal game rather than the vertical game, and then you hit MVS on that vertical stuff eventually. I think that will come. Look, don't sleep on MVS. He is going to get his. He'll get back in the mix on some of these deep throws sooner rather than later. I know people are all obsessed with speed, but sorry, guys. I think Sullivan's IQ makes him a threat. The Cowboys INT is a good example. Yeah, I think Sullivan is a good player, but he got relegated to the bench as soon as Ibrahim Campbell came back. Remember, it often takes cornerbacks 3 to 4 years to break out. Jair is an anomaly. Yes and no. I think more often than not, you're going to expect guys to be able to step on the field and at least compete, especially in sub packages. And Josh has gone the wrong way in that regard. Can you believe Favre said Gruden for Coach of the Year? Yeah, of course. It's his old buddy. Out of all the 2020 free agents, who gets re-signed by the Packers? I think it's much like last year. I'm not sure there is one that they have to have back in the fold. Now, maybe that changes, and maybe they look at somebody down the stretch there in December and maybe in the early part of the offseason. But I don't see anybody that they truly try to lock up in any kind of earnest way. Ooh, Amon Green or Aaron Jones? That's a really good question. Probably Amon Green. Is more of an all-around threat, but I love me some Aaron Jones. Don't get me wrong. Bump the volume a touch. Am I soft? Can't even believe I'm soft. Hello, hello. How are you? My goodness. Try that. I'm on green fumbles. Yeah, that's his one. This is one drawback. He's a better overall player. I mean, he's the leading rusher in the history of the franchise. He's pretty good, and he could take a screen to the house. The guy's pretty good. Do head coaches save parts of the playbook for the playoffs? They will tell you no, but yes, they do. Mike McCarthy being a perfect example. He used a double reverse fake throw in the NFC Championship game against the Giants that he hadn't used all year long and that he was saving specifically for a big moment. I don't think it's opponent specific, but they certainly hold back stuff for the most opportune time, which often is in postseason play. Keith, thank you for super chat. Thanks for your entertaining work. No reply needed. Well, Keith, there's your reply. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks very much. Jay Sternberger looked pretty solid at blocking. I agree. He did a really nice job opening some of that backside stuff for Aaron Jones to hit the crease. Hopefully that continues, and hopefully maybe they get him involved in the passing game. We'll see. Do you see Pettin making a move similar to Clay moving to inside linebacker a couple of seasons ago? Josh, I literally just talked about that on the radio. I'm not sure what that move would be, but there's a possibility they make some kind of adjustment. Maybe it's not that dramatic, but maybe there is some kind of um, I'm just trying to like spitball here. Maybe they put Fackrell on the inside next to Martinez. I don't think that happens, but something akin to that where we're not expecting it and it helps the run defense. My hunch is they don't do anything drastic and they just try to match up with people better. I think Ibrahim Campbell is going to be seeing a lot more of the field down the stretch here, but we'll see. We'll see what happens down the stretch. Do you see LaFleur limiting Aaron Jones' touches as a strategy for the playoffs? No, I think the goal is to make the playoffs, and getting limiting one of your best players is not part of the plan. I do believe he has a healthy kind of rotation because he wants to keep Aaron Jones healthy for the entirety of the season, including the playoffs. I think there's a fine distinction there, but I think it is one. And I've said time and time again, Jamal Williams is a really good football player. Do they lose a little bit of, Jones's dynamicism, if that's a word, dynamic ability when he's on the sideline? Yeah, of course. But Jamal brings other things to the table, namely his power and his aggressiveness and his ability to get yards after contact. it's not that huge a drop off, and he's become a real weapon in the passing game. Throw all that in there, and it's okay when Aaron Jones has to take a bit of a break so that they can keep him fresh. Steven, Packers will make the playoffs. I hope so. They're sitting at like 90 something percent chance to make it right now. If they don't, it would be a collapse of epic proportions. Something, unfortunately, the Packers fans know all too much about. Which Packer has impressed you the most this season? Ooh, that's a good question, Michael. Probably Elton Jenkins. I thought he'd be good. I didn't think he'd be this good. He's been pretty incredible. Super Edge 99, thank you for the super chat. Does Jace's skill set look to be a higher ceiling, I imagine you're seeing there, than Tanyan's, or just different? Explain. Well, I mean, they certainly, Sternberger played at a much higher level in college, and one would think he would be more of a weapon downfield. I think Tanyan can contribute in a lot of different areas, and I think he is a good player. But Sternberger should be more of a vertical threat. He should be something that they can use to exploit guys down the middle, through the seam, in a way that they haven't been able to in a long time. We all know Jimmy Graham can't run anymore. Big Dog is old. Tanyan, bless him, he's a good route runner and he catches everything thrown to him, but he's not a speed merchant. I do believe. Not just speed alone, but I think Jace has got route running ability. He's got a ton of background as far as knowing how to set guys up, knowing how to sit down in the zone, read coverages on the fly, on probably a more sophisticated level than pretty much most guys coming out of college, just because of how he was utilized at that position in college. It's a long way of saying I think he'll be more of a vertical threat, more of a downfield threat, but that's not to take anything away from Tanyan, who I do think is a pretty damn good player. Da, 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 da. How do we get? Oh, sorry. How do we get Elton Jenkins offensive rookie of the year? Offensive rookie of the year? I don't think it's going to happen. I think you've got Jacobs in Oakland and you've got Kyler Murray in Arizona, and Jenkins is going to have to settle for crumbs after that. Nags, you mentioned on transplants that you think that Gute has some good lieutenants when evaluating talent. Who you're referring to? Mostly John Eric Sullivan, I think, is really good. I don't know Matt Malprezo, who came on board recently, very well. He came over from San Francisco. I don't have any history with him. I don't know him at all. Wojciechowski, I think, is a good talent evaluator. But yeah, John Eric Sullivan, I think, is really good at what he does. And I think he's a GM in waiting. But we'll see. Also, I would give a shout out to Charles Walls. He's a area scout who's responsible he did the initial work anyway on Elton Jenkins and Aaron Jones. It's pretty good batting average right there. Have the Packers found something special in Lazard, or is it too early to tell? I mean, yeah, I think it's too early to say much of anything with any kind of definity when it comes to Lazard, but he certainly has not shied away, right? Lots of times when you get a guy who maybe is thrust into the spotlight, so to speak, or gets a lot more playing time than he was expected, you do see somebody kind of shrink from it, especially in a league where you have to consistently show up week after week after week. And that is how you get more opportunities, is by being consistent, even when the ball's not coming your way. And I think you've seen that with Lazard. You've seen a guy who hasn't gotten down. He's always been there. It's always risen to the occasion. He had the one bad drop against Oakland, but for the most part, he's caught everything thrown to him. He's been in position. Aaron Rodgers clearly trusts him, keeps going to him. I think he has a chance to be a really solid contributor. Special, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but we'll see. When you got Aaron Rodgers throwing you the football, you have the ability, you have the chance, you can have the opportunity to do special things. There's no doubt about that. Where did you meet Banky? How did you all meet? We met at North Carolina School of the Arts. Banky and I first initially kind of butted heads, but then Packer fandom kind of took over. We both knew someone who watched games every Saturday, or I'm sorry, every Sunday, and we would go over to the house and we'd watch the games together. And eventually, we just talked about the Packers all the time, and everyone said, "You guys should have a show." So when we moved to New York, we started a show. I sure wish there was an app I could download to keep me up to speed with all the latest Packers news. You know what? You should download the Cheesehead TV app. Not only do you have all the Cheesehead TV content at your fingertips, including all of our written and video content, but you also have links to everything, all of the Packer outlets, whether It's Packers News, whether it's ESPN, everybody in the Packers beat. You can go to all the blogs, all the different blogs that cover the Packers. We've got your link to everything, including the schedule and ESPN, everybody in the Packers beat. You can go to all the blogs, all the different blogs that cover the Packers. We've got your link to everything, including the schedule and all the attendant content from around each game and links to buy tickets to each game. The Cheesehead TV app, look for it wherever you download apps, whether it's Android, Apple, doesn't matter. Cheesehead TV, we're here for you, Packers fans. Do you think clock management, third down play calling, and defensive issues with the tight ends / caution routes will be cleaned up during the bye? Well, I tell you what, clock management better be. After I took LaFleur to task about it on Monday, I'm kidding. I just asked him about it. But yeah, the crossing route things is a real issue, and LaFleur put it on communication, and I think he denied it earlier in the year, but I do think once Raven Green went down, and then they lost Darnell Savage for a stretch. They were really struggling with guys in and out, trying to kind of tried to find guys who were their skill sets fit what they were trying to do. But the problem is they have so many disparate parts and so many moving parts that they were getting caught not communicating, guys not knowing calls, etc., and that really hurt them. Now they've got most of the people back now. They put Ibrahim Campbell in there. I think Campbell, with more playing time, will help solidify that as long as everyone can stay healthy, obviously. But you saw a couple of times where Campbell was a little rusty diagnosing things. He was late to recognize a couple of those crossers. So hopefully, the more he plays, some of that will get cleaned up. But ultimately, it is on the entire, 11 guys on that side of the ball to communicate with each other and make sure that everybody's on the same page when it comes to not only having the call in the huddle and when you get up to the line of scrimmage, but then making whatever adjustments are necessary in time and communicating them clearly in case something happens with adjustments on the offensive side of the ball. Have you been around Gute long enough yet as a GM to pick up on his tendencies? Well, I think it's been 2 off seasons, right? I think for the most part we're starting to see that take shape, but it still feels a little early. I will say being as all in as he was, as close to all in as he was on the Mac trade, is the one thing that has really surprised me so far. Outside of that, he seems to have somewhat gone. He seems to be following the Thompson model a little bit more than I would have thought. I think Elliot Wolf probably would have been a little bit more aggressive / reckless, much like his father. But I'm not upset about the results. And you look at what he did this offseason, I think it's shaping up to be one hell of a home run between the free agents and the draft. I think he's got a good offseason kind of in the works there. With the bye week, will we get LaFleur on Cheesehead TV finally? You would have thought so, right? He was close to calling in yesterday, or so Packers PR would tell you, but it didn't happen. So maybe eventually, we'll see. What was your favorite Super Bowl? Oh, 96. No question. I mean, growing up a Packers fan with no hope, thinking that your team was never going to sniff the playoffs, let alone a Super Bowl championship. Packers hadn't won in decades. You had gone from being the Siberia of the NFL. There was talk about shutting down the Packers, absolutely shutting them down. I mean, that's where it got to. And to go from that to Brett Favre coming off the field with his helmet up and Reggie White sacking Drew Bledsoe on back-to-back plays, Desmond Howard's return, all of that happening, and then seeing Mike Holmgren on the shoulders of those players, the confetti coming down in the Superdome, that'll never be topped. For me, that's just a personal thing. But, I mean, there have been other great Super Bowls, obviously. But for me, that will always be the greatest moment that I've lived through as far as being a Packers fan. Preston, thank you for the super chat. Has our base nickel hurt Kenny Clark and our defense? Yes and no. I think it definitely doesn't help him in regards to some of this, the troubles they've had against the run. But you saw, I mean, they didn't play particularly like a ton more base against the Panthers, and he had a hell of a game. So I think part of it has been that. Part of it has been dealing with injuries, but he can still ball out regardless. Andy, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Nags, who improves most in the final 6 games? Get my crystal ball. MVS. You heard it here first. Bend but not break keeps Rodgers off the field. Not sure I understand that one. Bend but not break, but create turnovers gets Rodgers extra opportunities. I'll take that for more points. We have too many communication issues that Pettin has to get fixed fast. I don't know about that. I mean, they just have to clean it up. I don't think it's a fact of or an idea that the idea is they've got so many different ones. It's that it's a continuing theme. So you have to come up with more efficient ways of communicating. That can be cleaned up pretty easily. I just think a lot of it comes down to the number of different personnel groups slash people they were using. I think it has much more to do with that than there's all these different types of communication issues. Bi-week question: how many more years will it be before we look to draft our next QB? Michael, it could be this offseason for all we know. Don't be surprised if the Packers draft a quarterback this year. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying don't be surprised if it does. I'm picking the Cardinals this Sunday, Reese. It's a bold move. A bold move, sir. With that, I got to get going. I got to make my own picks. Thank you so much for chatting. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to your question. Make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. And if you like what we do, and apparently 283 of you who show up here on a Thursday afternoon do enjoy it, please consider giving us $5 a month on our Patreon, patreon.com/cheeseheadtv. It supports everything we do, not just on the video side, but all the content, social, everything we do. Thanks so much, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a good night.